hands didn't have to be all crumpled up, like to grab onto the thing. The Vita too, you had to twiddle the back of it a little bit,
I'm like, everything you're saying, I'm inputting a woman in there.
All right.
Why is it gotta be a woman?
Everything you're saying, and then you got to the twiddling the back. I'm like, well,
all right.
Still kind of works.
I don't know why it's gotta be a woman.
How we doing out there?
I mean, whatever floats your boat.
Just listening.
Yeah, I'll miss
awesome
the 3DS. I think it was a wonderful console.
About old school.
I'm glad that there's like emulation for it too. Like that's starting to really come out because it's been it's been a hard thing. Like if you want to share your playthrough of a 3DS game or a DS game, it's not been easy for Twitch streamers or YouTube
testing audio.
Right? Like pointing a camera at the thing is not a good idea. It's always gonna look like shit.
How's this?
Like mods to get like HDMI out of those things have been rare. And
the back, I'm like, well, still kind of works.
I don't know why it's got to be a woman.
Whatever floats your boat. I'm not judging.
Yeah, I'll miss the 3DS. I think it was a wonderful console.
Everyone should check this podcast.
I'm glad that there's like emulation for it too. Like that's starting to really come out because it's been a hard thing. Like if you want to share your playthrough of a 3DS game or a DS game, it's not been easy for Twitch streamers or YouTubers, right?
Right.
Like pointing a camera at the thing is not a good idea. It's always gonna look like shit. Like mods to get like HDMI out of those things have been rare and very expensive. So it's nice to see some emulation. I think there's even emulation on the Switch now itself. Like you can download games.
Oh, probably. Yeah, that would make sense.
Which is dope. You're still compromised because you got to fit two screens on one screen somehow. But at least those games won't just die with the system that they're on.
Yeah, I'm waiting, and somebody on Twitter mentioned the Polymega, and part of me is like, I'm just waiting for the next gen where it's like you can play all the original stuff too, with or without cartridges, whether it's FPGA or not, and but being able to play retro games, co-op or multiplayer with people online, first of all, I feel like that's got to happen. Same thing with like 3DS games and stuff. Like they've had multiplayer and co-op forever, but you have to be in the same vicinity. Like we're in the time where I feel like they can transcend that, but it's going to have to be a third-party company at this point. So it'll be interesting to see. I think the Polymega has the hardware to do it, but they just have to see that and that potential market.
The Polymega, for anybody who doesn't know what the Polymega is, it's a box that's going to be for sale at Walmart relatively soon. It's for pre-order now. I think it's going to cost between $400 and $500. And it's a box it's an emulation box. You can put basically any disk system into it from like the PlayStation, TurboGrafx 16. I think you could I know you can do Sega Saturn. Jeez, what other systems can you put in there? You can put a bunch of like CD-based systems in there, but they're also selling these blocks that click onto the thing and take cartridges, so you can actually play your cartridges on it. My biggest problem with the Polymega is
searching for music for your next video. Then you need to check out our list.
Though it's all software emulation.
Right. Well, originally it was going to be FPGA.
I think,
and then
until they found out what FPGA meant, like the developers.
I read an interview last night, and they're like, basically, we had to make the hard decision of scrapping that, or we may not have even released it at all. And they're like, it allowed us to do things like Saturn emulation, which is apparently a pretty rare thing. The problem that I have, probably most of all, is that it doesn't support N64, which is like one of the needs that needs to be met soon, in my opinion. It doesn't support GameCube, which I find a little bit weird, and it doesn't support PS2. It's like those are some of the biggest systems. I mean, it's got to be like
so
a
what
right.
Does it support? It supports
like everything
1,
else.
Sega
like
Saturn. Does it support Dreamcast?
Pretty sure it does. Wait.
I wonder if it's a power limit that you're running.
You're right. It doesn't. It doesn't support Dreamcast either. I don't think.
I wonder if you're just running out of power with the chip that's on there that they can't emulate the higher end stuff.
Could be.
It seems expensive to me, to be honest with you. I haven't ordered one because it just seems expensive for what it provides.
I mean, it's gonna be like $1,000 to play all your games. So you got to get all the attachments.
And it's all emulated anyway.
Yeah.
And you can't use ROMs. You have to use original disc cartridges.
I mean, that's probably for legal reasons. Think about it. Downloading ROMs and whatnot is gray. It's gray area.
Why? I just know that it doesn't.
Yeah. It supports Sega CD, Sega Saturn, and this is all regions too. So if you're a multi-region collector or player, then it has a lot of value. TurboGrafx, PC Engine CD, Neo Geo CD, Neo Geo CD, and PS1. Yeah, for all regions basically.
Okay, so yeah, it's got to be a power limit. Like if it can't do PS2, it can't do Dreamcast isn't that hard to emulate, right?
I mean,
like your phone could easily do Dreamcast.
On CDs.
What's that?
You can put games on CDs, which I thought was weird.
Yeah, it backs up your CD actually. So when you put it in, it copies it to a hard drive and like makes a ROM. So I'm sure that when this thing hits the big public, people are gonna create software that you can load ROMs onto. I'm positive.
Oh, I'm sure.
It doesn't come like that out of the box, so you're gonna have to make that happen. Polymega is interesting. I think it's really expensive for what they're offering.
Yeah.
And that's from somebody. I bought my Mister. My Mister cost around $500.
Yeah.
But I mean, to me, that thing offers so much more because it feels like I'm playing an original console.
Right.
In a lot of ways. Not every way.
Can you? I mean, I really haven't researched the Mister much still, but
we should talk about my Mister. I love talking about it.
Does it play N64 games?
No, it's not powerful enough to do. Well, actually, so the people who know about this stuff, they don't say it's not powerful enough to play N64. They say it's a Herculean effort to actually, once you get into those more complex chips, like the PlayStation or the N64, it may just be such an effort to do it, like for somebody to sit down and make it happen, that it may be out of reach of humans, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So it may happen.
I did see somebody has a Twitter, and I don't remember the name of it, and there's a project that they're working on, and it's like in the infancy of putting N64 and FPGA. They're currently in, literally the pictures, it's just like a circuit board with wires coming out of it to a TV. And it's almost like a step-by-step. They're like, okay, now I'm working on color representation and stuff like that, and they're showing the colors just being all janky and whatnot, but somebody is working on it. I don't know how somebody like Analog, like a manufacturer, is going to get a hold of it, but I mean, it's probably like a 5-year project. But for me, that's really the system that I want to have an FPGA version, because it's one of the ones that is most difficult to make look good on a modern setup.
Yeah, I don't know if an FPGA is going to help you there, though.
Well, it up-reses a little bit, you can
wait a minute, why is it
on it and whatnot,
in window
kind of
mode?
Hone
What
it
the
in
hell?
for whatever display you're working on.
What in the fart?
I don't know. You might be right.
It's my N64, my N64, I could turn off the blur filter on the end of it. It's got a mod chip in it that allows me to get RGB out. And it has that little, it's like a little switch basically that you can turn off the blur filter. It just looks like that though. I mean, the N64 just looks like that. It's much like the PlayStation. There's nothing you're ever going to do to a PlayStation that makes it look good. It's just, it's that early 3D, man. Warping textures and textures that are so low res that on a modern display, they're never going to look right.
I mean, I will say, I'm really curious what they did with the the 3D All-Star stuff because I do think that Super Mario 64 looks a lot better.
Yeah, it looks fantastic.
So, and I don't
Yeah.
think they did a ton. So it's like, okay, how do we do that for everything? You know?
Yeah, I think they just upres it to 720. I think that's
that
all
might
they
be all
really
we
did
need.
to it.
Who knows?
I know they replaced some voice
No, no, no,
samples
no,
as
no.
well.
Anything specific voice sample wise that you can remember?
There's something when you're fighting Bowser that it sounds like Mario calls Bowser gay
Where's it say
Oh.
no
in the
cunt
original
jobs
version, and
under
they
the table?
switched it out so it just says
Yeah.
bye bye or something like that. I can't remember
Okay.
specifically. I'm sure that
That's
information's
not what
out
I
there.
expected at all, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's probably
It's just a weird voice sample. He doesn't actually call Bowser gay,
right.
but it sounds almost like he does. You know, like those old voice samples, kind of a little warbly, a
Yeah.
little bit crunchy. Yeah. Any other news come out this week?
Well, there was some stuff that I found that's let me find it again. I mean, we were talking about that N64 controller earlier. Somebody's got a Kickstarter going for a wireless N64 controller, and it kind of looks like, I mean, it kind of looks like an Xbox controller. Sort of.
Yeah, the Brawler 64. I actually contributed to this Kickstarter. This is a wireless version of a controller that they already make. That's wired. The first generation, I
Love
guess,
this
had some
fucking car.
issues where
Best car in the game.
stuff on the stick.
I only
you know,
seem to
like
find it with Trevor lately. Fuck.
bumper on the top.
Oh no.
I don't know if it's the best
But
car in the game.
they
It's
fixed that in the second
probably
generation.
not.
People love it. People who
But I like it.
love
I
their
love the way it
N64
fucking sounds.
controllers still love this Brawler 64 controller, and I'm always excited to get a wireless controller, especially if it's
Pendejo.
2.4
You're lucky.
Bluetooth,
Right.
which I think this one is. And
Well,
it's pretty
let's see
cheap,
there.
right? It's like $30.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cheap
Spit
for-
roasters.
For a working Nintendo 64 controller. Because
And it would be
the other
kind of-
thing about the Nintendo 64 controller is they wore the fuck out. They're super fast.
Yeah, the joysticks. Yep.
Yeah. So it's hard to find one that works really good.
So it would kind of work kind of like an 8-bit Dio, right? Duo.
Yeah, I believe so.
Pretty solid.
Yeah,
This
you'll plug
car's
it
gonna
into
be
the
parked
controller
outside
port, and
your
it just
house.
has, like some kind of wireless communication. But yeah, their Brawler 64 controller is pretty good. It's pretty well liked. I haven't used it myself, but like from what I've read, people really like it. And to get a wireless one sounds great, you know.
Right.
And it's got of like a regular layout to it, right? It's not like the weird tri-grip layout. It's just a
Yeah.
normal layout.
Together.
With the left stick is where you think it should be. The D-pad
Trade
is a normal
man's
D-pad. The other thing
entrance.
about the N64
Don't mind if I do.
controller, there's so many reasons the N64 controller sucks.
I can't believe
It's
we're
like a
parting with
long,
the
long
love
list.
Some
face
people love it,
manager.
which is
That's
hilarious.
so-
Yeah, some do.
Okay, which one
we
of
call
you
those
cupcakes
bad
is
people.
willing?
People who make bad decisions.
His dentist.
Well,
This
he's
is not
still
people to be
downstairs
trusted.
chatting up some
The
bird,
D-pad
man.
sucks.
Whoa,
like
his
it's like
dentist
the
comes
first
to
time that I
him?
remember
That is so
Nintendo making a
cool.
D-pad that's kind of weird.
Oh, some of the
And it's
shit
in like
I've
the wrong
seen, love,
place.
it's
It's not as bad as the
unimaginable.
GameCube
You know,
one.
if Jez
Oh, wait,
and
the
the
GameCube
guys
one.
hadn't gotten so into yoga and probiotics nowadays, we'd all be dead.
Well, I burned
I
through
don't
the
remember,
last of my
actually.
dopamine.
I was like,
second
it's still
comeback
great if we
tour
just
in
freeze.
05. The doctors reckon I'll never laugh again.
Whoa,
But it's like you got to move your hand anyhow.
awesome.
Yeah, it's like a normal Xbox layout.
been on the road
The
with the
buttons
biz since
are in a row of 6, so if you play
2002.
fighting
I'm
games,
heavily
I don't know that
involved
there's a
with
whole
the
lot of fighting games on the Nintendo
biz.
64, but if you do play any fighting games, like there's a row of 6 buttons, which is nice. It's a nice looking controller.
Like, what games used the control pad, like the directional control pad on 64? Anyways, do you remember?
Man, I'm not that big on the Nintendo 64.
I feel like everything used the joystick.
I
I'm
bet I
sure
could
there's
hit
stuff
your G-shot
bad,
every
There
time.
must be.
You
right?
guys were
maybe
Hey,
Smash
man,
Bros.
no more autographs.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Snap really used the stick though, too?
Oh, it did, but I'm saying like for precise movements and
You want
whatnot.
to be a
Just you
pro Smash Bros.
bastard!
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's any Pro Smash players out there that could tell us what you typically play with, pro stick or
A pro Smash Bro.
Speaking of Smash Bros, apparently there's an NES game being developed with a Wi-Fi chip in it, so that you can play with other people around the world.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah, it's
So the
currently
cartridge itself has the Wi-Fi chip and communicates.
they are
like,
developing
multiplayer?
the cartridge apparently. Yeah, so currently it's available in browser flash card or emulation, but they're working on like an actual physical card.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'll-
Like, why
I'll
is
buy
that like? Yeah, that seems like a market that could be tapped into, like making modern games
Yeah.
in an 8-bit or 16-bit style that you can play on your original consoles.
Yeah. I think that's relatively common. I think a couple of those come out every year, and they get sold.
Let's
Yeah,
say my work
buy
is done here.
games that have been developed in the last like 5 to 10 years that have come out with cartridges for like 16-bit. Coffee Crisis, I think, is one where it's like a beat 'em up where you play like a coffee barista with a bag of coffee beans and you beat people over the head with it. I'm trying to think of other things.
Do they have Wi-Fi chips though?
No, Wi-Fi joke. That's awesome.
Yeah. Bandwidth is so relatively cheap. It's stupid.
Yeah, that's amazing, right? Like, what if you could just like, what if they just came out with like a new version of Double Dragon that had Wi-Fi?
Exactly.
Just
That's
like
what I was
when you were a
talking
kid.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I was talking about, like,
Yeah.
Polymega should tap into that kind of, you know what I'm saying? Like, if they were the platform that could take any game that you had and make it playable. Like, why is that? It seems like they probably have talked about it. But that game that I just mentioned, the NES one, is called Super Tilt Pro. Play it on browser free, I believe, currently. They said that they're working on the cartridges for this.
It very much did look like a 8-bit version.
Yep.
Like, it really does.
It almost kind of looks like the original like Super Mario Brothers, like the one where you have the different levels and you got the power block in the middle and stuff.
Yeah.
Kind of looks like that.
Yeah.
Guess
I'll
what,
probably pick
you
this.
crazy English fruitcake?
Oh, I'm dreadful at guessing.
Sometimes I
Aren't I,
just
Mrs.
want to
O'Neill?
support somebody who's doing something
No, she
awesome,
can't hear
even
me.
though I'm
She's
not, like,
washing out a napping
I don't really
from
like
Samantha
support
Muldoon's
stuff,
dustbin.
but, like,
Yeah, one gold tooth, courtesy of Love Fist, complete with complimentary DNA.
And then imagine playing that like on the
Marvelous,
analog.
marvelous. Oh, Jock, I knew you wouldn't let us down.
Toodaloo.
Can't wait for the analog.
So it's coming. We got like what, a month and a half ish, 2 months maybe.
Yeah. Do you remember what they say a time in November?
But I just thought it was November.
Yeah, they just said November. Right? And that'll
Probably
slip
November
over.
10th. Probably November 10th.
Did you
Yeah,
get,
what
did
is
you
it?
get an Xbox and a PlayStation?
I did. Yeah. It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of consoles dropping in November.
Yeah. And I had to get multiple pre-orders because of the Amazon nonsense where they're sending out like, we may not be able to fulfill all the orders, just heads
Same.
up. So
Same.
I had to.
Me and the wife were talking about it, and we were briefly thinking maybe we should like just let them all show up and then flip them on eBay. And then I was like, I don't know, like I can't do it.
The only way I will do it is if like I have it in hand and all of a sudden they're just exploding on eBay or something. I'm like, well, I can't justify keeping it if
Yeah.
they're going for $1,500 or something like that. I'm like, I just can't do it.
Maybe what I should do is let it show up and then put it on eBay for like retail price, just to drive the price of them down on eBay.
I mean, you could, but the problem is then you're hitting, you got like 20%. You're going to take a 20% cut from fees and shipping and stuff.
Maybe I should just. What I was thinking is I was just as soon as one ships, I'll just cancel the other ones.
Sure. Yeah. If they
But I
haven't
don't
shipped
even
yet.
know, like, with the way that shipping is working right now.
Yeah.
Boom.
We shipped it
kinda-
2 weeks
well,
ago. You'll get it eventually. Yeah.
You
Yeah,
better
yeah.
not put it
Yeah, I
back
had
on
something
fucking
literally take like 6 weeks.
windowed mode, which
Dude, we
kind
just
of
got
looks
toilet
like it
paper that we
is
ordered in, like,
doing that.
It's in stock now. Oh, no kidding? Great. Perfect. Well, it's not like toilet paper's going to go bad, It's like just throw in the
Dude,
closet.
this toilet paper though. Can I tell you my toilet paper story?
Sure.
You know,
Apparently.
obviously, toilet paper was out of stock everywhere, so everyone was panic buying toilet paper. So my wife went on Amazon and was like, literally, like they were having like countdown timers to like, okay, it's gonna go live now, and then she clicked to order it. She got toilet paper. The entire roll is about the size of a beer can. Okay, we got 36 rolls of it. And like, if you can picture a beer can, like for audio listeners, you know how there's like an outer diameter of a beer can, and then there's like an inner diameter where like the lip is, where they like stamp the top onto. That is the total width of toilet paper on these toilet paper rolls.
It's like
It is.
super thin.
Oh, it's like you
It's like
get
a-
maximum 2 poops out of this toilet paper roll. Maximum.
I have
Maximum.
questions. It's
And it was like $36. It was like $1 a roll.
That's like gift wrap width, like a gift wrap tube.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect. It's like somebody took gift wrap tube, just left it white, and chopped it into like 8 pieces and shipped it out as toilet paper.
Is it like mega thin too?
Yeah, it's not that bad actually. It's not that bad.
He's going through.
I've
the
had worse.
experience.
Have you ever been to like a trailer and they have like a motorhome or something, and they have like the biodegradable
Yeah.
paper? That's
Well, technically all paper's biodegradable, right?
Yeah, but this stuff is like meant to be like super fast.
like, where'd it
I'm
go?
not quite
It's
done with it
gone.
yet.
It disappeared.
I was still using that.
It's in your hand, and all of a sudden it's gone. Like melts in your hand, not in your mouth. You know, it's like the opposite. Oh, it's terrible. My toilet paper story. I mean, when all that stuff was going down, I was looking on
Yeah.
Amazon, and the only things that I could find were like the joke toilet paper. It was
Uh-huh.
like,
Oh
you
yeah.
know, like toilet paper with a poop emoji
What?
on it, or potential
Where's my
like
fucking
certain
car that I
political
saved?
figureheads on them and such.
Yeah.
You know, that's the only thing that I could find. I didn't buy any of it. I was like, well, I guess we're gonna
What?
use some tissue paper or something like. And I know you're not supposed to use tissue in the toilet, but we're taking lots of showers.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
Yeah. I don't know. We never actually ran out. Like we made it through
Right.
okay. I never actually ran into a crisis.
What?
But you know, we were making like mental calculations. Like, how's this gonna go down? You
Two,
know?
two squares per wipe. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all you get.
I mean, we have we have to get our drain snaked about once a year, as it is, because we have
What the
a
fuck?
pipe that goes from the basement out to the road. That's got a tree above it, and the tree has like the roots have like broken the
Oh.
pipe.
Why can't I run? What the fuck?
So it's gonna
What
be.
the fuck?
I think it's around
What the
10
fuck
grand
is
to fix
going
that,
on
and
with
we
this
just kinda
game?
Like, we'll just get it snaked out until we can.
A couple
Dude.
$100 to snake it. Yeah.
Yeah. you
We're
know,
gonna.
and we have to do that once
what
a
the
year. So
fuck,
like
dude?
we're real careful about what we put down there. Like, and we had kids,
What?
so there were like Q-tips down there, and there were, you know,
What is happening?
you know what I mean.
I had a car
Shit was
saved,
going down there that wasn't supposed to be going down
and
there.
then my controls
Socks.
go all fucking janky. What the fuck, dude? All I did is updated the
Like, it's not
graphics.
just a magical hole.
I just lowered them so I'd get
Why are
fucking
the
better.
Beanie Babies down here? What's
Keep
going
putting
on?
it on fucking
kind of
Windows
adventures did
mode too. What the
Timmy,
fuck
the
is that?
Beanie Baby just go on? Good
What
lord.
did he ever do to you?
Who wants Windows mode?
Is
Window
that is that our old
mode.
goldfish?
What is happening?
Great.
Oh, all right. I was really excited about this next news item you put on the document. The Street Fighter 2 documentary.
Let's try it again, I guess.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, so there's a Street Fighter 2 documentary in the works, and there's a Kickstarter on the way. So this is like pre-announcement.
balls.
announcement.
Itchy
And
balls.
For some reason, I've been kind of into these documentaries. Like I've been literally like scouring Amazon Prime. There's a few there, and you know there's one on Netflix and all these different and they focus on specific things. Like you had the like Donkey Kong Championship documentary, which I thought was super fascinating, and then you had like the
The King
arcade
of
game
Kong?
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
King of Kong. Yeah, it was pretty fun. And so this one's gonna be Street Fighter 2, and I imagine it's gonna be similar to like the King of Kong, where they talk about, you know, how the game was made and all that stuff, and then they talk about the competition part of it.
Yeah.
'Cause there was a lot, and that was like I feel like one of the first arcade games that really had that. Like we were talking about last week, you were talking about like you go into the arcade and everybody's lined up around the Street Fighter 2 machine.
Yeah.
And so that's pretty cool to think about. I imagine it's going to be spanning most of the early 90s and whatnot.
I'm into Street Fighter. I love Street Fighter. I definitely will watch
I don't think my
this.
car's gonna
I'll
be
probably,
here.
like, if the Kickstarter, maybe I'll even put
What the
donate toward
fuck,
Kickstarter if I
dude?
hear about the Kickstarter
What are
before
the-
it closes.
Why?
But for the most part, I don't find that.
Isn't that like
the
the
King
whole
of
point
Kong
of having a
was awesome.
fucking safe house? Is
But
that
the reason that was awesome because it was covering such an amazing story with what was that guy's name?
you
Billy
get to
Mitchell
store
and,
cars there and
Weedy?
shit?
Is it?
What the fuck?
What's the other guy's name?
What
I'm
the
bad with
fuck would be
names.
the point?
So the two guys who were competing for the
If
high
it's
score
gonna
in
delete
Donkey
my
Kong
cars.
in the early 2000s, like 20 years after everybody forgot about Donkey Kong altogether. These guys were still in the thick of it, competing for the high score, and Billy Mitchell was just over the top personality, and the other guy, Weeby, I think his name was really this kind of like quiet, subdued guy who just loved playing Donkey Kong. It was just a wonderful story. So many of these to me are just like, all right, guys, these video game documentaries seem to be hot, so we're gonna assign you to make one, and we're like, okay, and like this one that's on Netflix that's been getting a lot of airtime, like people keep talking about, like I didn't find was very informative to me. There was like a couple of interviews that I thought were somewhat interesting, but it seemed to be like a very surface level, like here's video games. Remember video games from when you were a kid? You know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah, I mean, for the general public, it's probably good as far as Netflix producing a show. You got to hit a wider market, so I understand that. They're trying to explain.
This
like,
isn't the one, is it? No,
background and
it's
everything and
not.
whatnot. So for hardcores that know all that stuff, it's like, oh yeah, there's a couple little pieces of information in there, but yeah, I think it's definitely geared towards the kind of, I would say layman, but I don't really like that word. Just the people that are.
God damn it.
Don't know all that stuff.
Yeah. Like YouTube is kind of like a weird thing because people can really deep dive into shit for unlimited time, right? It's like as much time as you want to talk about a topic, you can talk about it. And like you can make 6 videos over the course of 6 years, just kind of like, well, here's what we knew a year ago, here's what we know now, and then a year later, like people have like uncovered untold, like there's a guy called, I think it's called the Video Game Historian.
Yep.
But this is what he does. He just makes videos, like good, well-produced videos about the history of video games, and it's like he's got a back catalog that'll take you a week to get through, and there's 50 of those guys.
How did you
Yeah,
not
it's
see
something
me?
with video games.
Yeah,
Pretty awesome that it's digital form too, so it won't be there forever.
yeah.
But the name of the Street Fighter documentary is
Excuse me,
called
my
Here Comes a New
car.
Challenger. So keep your eyes out for that one. There's just a couple of more like smaller things as far as, and they're mostly just stuff you can buy. There's Game Boy Art Collection pre-orders are open from Bitmap Books, and they're shipping out of the UK. There's,
Dude,
like,
did I not get my
so for
car
anybody-
back?
and it covers like both the East and West cover art. So for somebody like me who pretty much only collects Western stuff, it's kind of tough because there's a lot of Eastern and PAL stuff in there. But basically like a coffee table book that has all the different art and whatnot from Game Boy, which is pretty cool.
I like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and then Fangamer, and this is actually a whole conversation. I feel like Fangamer, they make all sorts of gaming memorabilia and whatnot. They have a Conker's Bad Fur Day plushie with the voice of the original Conker for sale for $32, actually for pre-order right now.
Like a pull string?
Yep, full string.
Fucking pissed.
Pretty sure, or a button.
I
or
pimped
whatever,
out that
actually,
car,
we can look
and
at
I
it.
went and saved
But
it, and it didn't fucking
my
save.
question is,
I like ballered up the
is
coil.
this teasing something?
Like ballered it the
Oh, like
fuck
new
up.
Conker game?
Right, like, I mean, how long has it been?
That's fucking
Does
dumb.
Rare still make games? Really?
Oh yeah. Yeah, they
So-
made they're doing,
This
CDs.
car is like just
coming?
okay-ish, but man,
Would this
nothing
be the
compared
perfect
to that
time to bring another
coil ad.
Conker game out?
Fucking
Like,
totally.
people have been I've been hearing from
Fucking
people like,
slayed
man,
it
it'd be really
out.
cool to have another Conker game.
To
Last-
those people, I would say, when's the last time you played a Conker game?
Well, the last one was Xbox, so like 20 years ago.
No, remake, right? That's exploding.
it was like a remake plus they had multiplayer levels or something, right? Live and Reloaded, like you could play it online.
That game's kind of hook was it's like a mascot, it's like a cute mascot game, which were very popular at the time. But he's got a foul mouth.
You don't see this car here?
Or like humor, lots of that stuff.
Yeah, yeah. And I wonder if that kind of thing really makes sense anymore. You know, because mascot, like those mascot games, kind of aren't around anymore. Although they're kind of making a comeback. Ratchet and Clank is making.
I really need the money.
Mario is kind of stayed popular.
Yeah.
Sonic Mania was really popular. I don't know, maybe it does still work.
But yeah, I thought that was really interesting. I was like, why would they, other than just the whole like retro part of it, but they're even selling a glass called the Cock and Plucker Pub. So, which is
You want to end up in the trunk of this thing?
Did you ever play the game yourself?
A little bit, but again, like I have it and I've played it on N64, but this is another reason why I want an easy way to play N64 stuff on modern setup, because I don't have, we don't really have the room to have a whole separate setup for pressure games. Like ideally you have, like a Sony Trinitron or some kind of old tube TV, because it'll look better, but or run your SCART cables and all that, which I might end up if there's no, there has to be some kind of thing. Like my brain just goes like analog.
Nice house.
Analog, those folks are really smart. They have to be coming
like
up
it?
with something. That's where my
Selling
brain
it,
goes,
wanna
and
buy
I've been saying that
I'm
for
down,
years
sir.
now. So
No, I'm good.
who knows?
Yeah.
I used to sell houses like this all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I
okay?
played the
I sold
Xbox version
dreams
of it. I didn't
and
really like it,
lives,
so
meaningful.
this isn't.
I'm not sure about that. But you like beautiful things, though, don't you? Sure.
It's weird
Well,
though. You're
I
right.
just
It is
happen
weird that all
to
this
know
time later they're coming
the
out with
most
Conquer Plush toys
beautiful woman.
and like
You want a
like
bouncy,
all this other
bouncy.
stuff. I wonder if it does
Josh.
mean there's a remake coming.
Josh Bernstein. Yeah.
If you put this game out again,
I'm
where
the
do you
Josh
put
Bernstein.
Yeah, I never heard of you.
Switch.
Oh, well, I used
Yeah,
to be a
you think
big deal
Nintendo-
once in real
I mean,
estate.
think about
so I have
if
my
they
license
remastered it the same way they
taken away.
did the
My
Super
meal
Mario
ticket.
64, even if it was like
Where's
the original
check?
game,
I'll get to that.
just,
I'll
like,
get to that. See, it's
slightly
not really
touched up,
money that I'm after
probably
here.
would
It's just a
sell
little something
fairly
more
well.
awkward than that.
You probably
Or
should
if
port
they did
the
a
Xbox
proper
version
sequel.
over.
they could
Lenny
do that.
Avery.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be nice to have like a proper sequel with like
He
new gen
was
graphics,
my
but-
best
Yeah,
friend.
a sequel would be
And now,
interesting because like
he
where
has
does Conquer
taken
fit in the
all
world now?
of my clients.
Would be actually a pretty
All of them.
interesting thing for them to make
Do
a
you
sequel
think
about,
like
right?
walking
that
around
you could
drunk in New York City
Take
and stuff.
out all of his for sale signs.
Like Mario Odyssey, but dark.
Sounds
Yeah,
easy.
She's
basically.
worth it, man.
Very
I love
dark
you.
version of Mario Odyssey. What do you want to do next? You want to do
love you. I love you.
a Ninja Gaiden, or do you want to do
Lenny.
10 questions?
Avery.
We'll wait. We'll do the 10 questions at the end.
All right. So should we talk about some Ninja Gaiden? So we did a poll this week. We asked you guys what Ninja game was your favorite Ninja game out of the 3 that we randomly chose, which were probably the best ones, I would say. Can
There's
you
a
think
lot
of
of
them?
Ninja games that are kind of under the radar. They're not
Ninja
super
games-
popular.
Ninja games were pretty popular for a while there. Ninja
Yum.
in general, I think.
Peanuts,
right?
peanuts,
They were
peanuts
pretty
are good.
popular for a while.
Somebody
Peanuts,
was like, "What about
peanuts,
Ninja
peanuts are
Turtles?"
good.
And we're like, "Yeah, that's a good point."
Hey, I was the
I
one
mean,
that
they
said
could
that.
have their own
That was
thing
me.
where you
I
could just
said,
say,
"Don't
"What's the best
Ninja Turtles count?"
game?"
Totally.
That was
So
me.
many.
They're
I haven't
talking about
played
a
any
thing
of
I
the new
said
ones,
on the
like
internet.
anything past Super Nintendo.
They're
I
talking
haven't
about a
played,
thing I
like,
said
all
on
of
the
them.
internet.
There's so many.
Talking about that thing I said on the internet.
So we put a poll up on Twitter.
They did.
The choices
I
were,
responded
I believe, Revenge
I
of Shinobi
said,
for the Genesis.
"Don't Ninja
Strider
Turtles
for the
count?"
Genesis,
because they didn't have Ninja Turtles on their list.
and Ninja Gaiden for the NES.
Didn't get a
and
lot
of
of
course,
track though,
Castle
a
of
couple
Illusion,
likes, but no
which, the most deadly of
real
ninjas
comment.
is Mickey Mouse.
So
And I mean,
question
Ninja
is-
Gaiden won by like a long shot. I was surprised
Yeah.
by the lack of support from my Genesis brothers and sisters.
So I was gonna ask because Strider has an NES.
I was
version.
a
Is
Genesis
it the same
kid,
game
but
or is it different?
Ninja
No,
Gaiden
it's
was
a
cool.
completely different game.
Okay.
Strider was a weird one. Is they
Jumping
made
on the wall was
a,
dope.
A manga, a Japanese comic book. I don't know if you're familiar with that term.
Yeah.
Peanut dust.
Isn't it manga?
Sure.
I don't even know.
They made that. They made the arcade version of Strider
peanuts.
and the NES version of Strider all at the same time, but developed by 3 different like groups of people, but all as like a
I need a
tie-in
beer.
project. So the NES version
I need a
and
beer.
the arcade version have basically
Need a
nothing to
beer.
do with each other, and then the Genesis version was basically a port of
Pause.
the arcade version.
Going to get a beer. BRB. You say why, and I say I don't know. Wow, wow, oh no. You say goodbye, and I say hello. Hello, hello. I don't know why you say goodbye, I say hello.
And I believe we are live.
No!
Episode-
No! What? How far in was I?
Your roll is about the size
Okay,
of a
well,
beer can.
I was about.
54 stuff on
Hmm.
modern setups because I don't have
Deadly of Ninjas is Mickey Mouse.
Okay, I was around here. Yep. Okay.
Super Nintendo. I haven't played like at all.
No.
Okay. Okay.
There's so many.
That sucks. But not too bad.
So we put a poll up on Twitter. The choices were, I believe, Revenge of Shinobi for the Genesis, Strider for the Genesis, and Ninja Gaiden for the NES, and of course Castle of Illusion, which the most deadly of ninjas is Mickey Mouse.
So
And I mean,
question
Ninja
is-
Gaiden won by like a long shot. I was surprised
Yeah.
by the lack of support from my Genesis brothers and sisters.
So I was gonna ask because Strider has an NES version. Is it the same game or is it different?
No, it's a completely different game.
Okay.
Strider was a weird one. Is they made a manga, a Japanese comic book. I don't know if you're familiar with that term.
Yeah. Isn't it manga?
Sure.
I don't even know.
They made that. They made the arcade version of Strider and the NES version of Strider all at the same time, but developed by 3 different like groups of people, but all as like a tie-in project. So the NES version
What?
and the arcade version
Are you
have
kidding me?
basically nothing to do with each other, and then the Genesis version
Oh
was basically
no.
a port of the arcade version. But the
It sounds. I was just gonna say.
Can
it
you
sounds
read
kinda
that?
Similar.
I don't know
of,
if you can
of,
read
like
that.
the original Ninja Gaiden
It says
story,
canned
too.
on
Yeah, it's
11
very similar.
26
It is.
19.
So Ninja Gaiden was an arcade game and a NES game at the same time, right? They
no.
both came out about the same time.
They were being developed at the same time by
Oh,
different teams.
fucking
and they're
stinks
completely
like
different
gross
games.
old
Like,
hops.
yeah.
The arcade games, the
God
Double Dragon style
damn it.
beat 'em up, and
Well,
Ninja Gaiden is the fast.
Motherfucker. Motherfucker. Fucking fuck. All I can say is fuck Trixie's Liquor, man. That's not the first time I've had some beer. See, I bought cans, but the cans were in a box. Don't start over again. Why is it start
Other
over?
than just the whole like.
It's just there's
Why does it start
So
over?
I was
All
gonna
I'm doing is
ask because
clicking
Strider
on the
has an
screen.
NES
I'm
version. Is
pausing
it
it.
the same game or is it different?
no, it's a
What
completely
the
different game.
fucking
Strider was a
winos,
weird one. Is
man.
they made
Oh,
a
computers and
manga,
the internet
a Japanese comic book.
and shitty
I don't know if
liquor
you're familiar with
stores,
that
fuckers.
Yeah.
Selling
Manga?
year-old beer,
Sure.
fucking
I don't
pieces
even
of shit, man.
They made
God
that.
damn
they
it.
made the arcade version of Strider and the NES version of
I'm
Strider
pissed.
all at the same time, but
I'm fucking
developed by
pissed,
3
dude.
different like groups of people.
Bought a
But
12-pack
all
of
as
beer.
like a tie-in
Fucking
project.
year-old.
So the NES version and
fucking
the
nasty.
arcade version have
Fucking
basically
stinks,
nothing
dude,
to do
like
with each
burns
other.
my
And then the
nostrils.
Genesis version was basically a port of the arcade version. But the
It sounds. I was just
Eating
gonna say, it sounds
Rolos.
kind of similar of like the original
me
Ninja
feel a
Gaiden story
bear.
too.
yeah, it's very similar.
Motherfuckers.
It is. So Ninja Gaiden was an arcade game and a NES game at the same time, right? They both came out about the same time.
They were being developed at the same time by different teams,
They're delicious.
and they're completely different games. Like
Yeah.
the arcade game's a Double Dragon style beat 'em up, and Ninja Gaiden is the fast kind of platforming arcade game.
Yeah, the arcade game looked kind of cool to me. Like I had never before we started
delicious Rolos.
researching this stuff, I had never even heard of it or seen it before.
Yum yum yum.
And now I want to play it. It's like it is like a beat 'em up kind of game, like Double Dragon. You know, you go to a casino, you go to the streets. You know, it's kind of you got to jump between multiple levels, almost like Shinobi. It was kind of cool looking. Like I want to check it out. But the NES version is a goddamn classic. It needs to be respected and observed for the genius that it is.
Right. Is there anywhere that you can play the Ninja Gaiden arcade game now?
I'm sure it's on MAME.
Ooh, I
I was like, it looks
Okay.
like a Neo Geo game. But some people, I did read when there's a death screen
damn it.
Yeah,
of him like on a table with like a buzzsaw.
totally like a 007 kind
Who
of.
am I supposed to
like,
kill?
It's really brutal, and people were saying that they had like nightmares back then from that end.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah. So,
Which is sensitive.
I mean, like, think about when we were kids. Like, it's not like we really control that stuff. But yeah, it was pretty brutal.
So did you play Ninja Gaiden when you were a kid, or did you come to it as an adult?
absolutely. The first one. Like,
Yeah.
I played it a ton. And I was saying to Briar before the show started that like I can hear the death screen in my head. I don't remember the exact notes, but like or something like that. Like
Yeah.
that is like such a haunting thing because you die so many times.
Yeah, you're definitely something you're going to become very aware of because the game is brutally different. The great thing about this game is that it controls wonderfully.
Yeah.
But it's also brutally difficult. Like the enemy placement is placed in such a way that you basically have to memorize. Like once you get to like, I'd say the 3rd or 4th level, like you basically have to start memorizing enemy placement because your reflexes just aren't going to cut it. And once you get to the 6th level, like you have to know exactly what to do for every enemy.
I feel like the biggest problem was like you said, you have to memorize stuff because if you don't, you could be mid jump, and then there'd be an enemy that would come from off screen that you didn't see, that would just totally f you, like those birds,
Yeah.
or you know what I mean? Like you're mid jump, and you're like, well, here comes the bird, I'm dead. Like, cause
Yeah.
the 45-degree angle that you kind of like bounce off and go straight down into a hole, conveniently placed for your doom, you know?
let's
you had
go
this
to
knockback
the
mechanic
Hey
that
baby, let's go
big
to
knockback.
the bop.
It was like a
Hey
couple
baby,
of inches on, like, a
do
screen.
the bop. Hey
And
baby,
it would always-
hey baby.
One of the jokes I heard about this game was like, it's got a life bar, but you'll never know it because you always die from falling into a pit, like every time, because
Pretty much.
you do hit, like things do hit you, but the knockback always spits you off into a hole, like an endless pit.
Let's
But
go
like
to
there
the
is,
bop.
you do have like a little bit of
Scooby-Dooby
defense.
bow.
You have a sword, you have some
Oop
special
bop
weapons.
doo da gop.
Once you get the spin attack,
Scoop
if you
bop
can
doo
hold
da
on to
bow.
that spin attack, you're actually pretty damn powerful, and you can actually use that, you know, to defend yourself pretty well. And it'll kill bosses in like one hit. Like it's that powerful. But once you die, you lose it, and it's just gone. And if it's not available on that level, because they're really kind of stingy with the special weapons, like you might not get a special weapon for an entire level that you're playing.
Right.
It's a brutal game, but it just controls so well. It feels so good. You know, like the running, the jumping, the wall grabbing, the jumping. You can kind of like bounce between two walls to climb them.
You can even go up
the wall grabs
stuff too.
so good in the game. The wall grabs were key.
Was it one of the first games that had like the wall bounce jump mechanic back and forth?
I don't know, but it felt
That,
really good. It was a little bit annoying.
Probably after that,
It would activate when you didn't want it to sometimes.
Yeah, that's true.
But
like the Castlevania stairs stuff. It's like, I didn't want to do that.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I don't remember it, you know, going back that hard as I was.
Oh,
Jumping mechanic.
Hi.
But it felt really good. But it was the first game that had like cinematics.
A director, lazy.
And it's
And
funny.
the cinematics were brilliant.
Because Tecmo, that was kind of like Tecmo's MO back in the NES too. Like even their sports games kind of had that cinematic, like, you know, you come into the pregame and stuff. So they definitely revolutionized that for the console. But and they were also saying that I believe Ninja Gaiden was one of the first games that had jumping and attacking in air, which is absolutely necessary in that game.
Oh yeah.
And how different it would be if you couldn't do that.
God, I didn't realize it was that. The game is, it's really a mind-blowing game. Like, you know, it was it's an early
audio is
NES
cool
too, right?
I believe it was
Wow.
back to back. 89.
89. And what, the NES came out in 84, right?
I believe it was the year before in Japan.
Watch out, dickhead!
So not that early, and then Super Nintendo
Oh
came
shit.
out in 91.
Whoop.
Yes, that sounds right.
God, it seems like
Whoa,
Ninja Gaiden
something
was
has
like there for
disappeared.
the entire time that the NES was there. I'm surprised it came out that late. Three of them. too.
Looking at the
Yeah,
replay, a truck just disappeared on the
right now
bridge.
and confirm. So Ninja Gaiden 1 was 89. Ninja Gaiden 2 was 90.
Man, this game is just
Ninja
dope,
Gaiden 3
dude.
was
Just
91.
driving
Three
around.
years in a
Lucky
row.
miss.
Banged them out.
Chill.
Yeah, and I don't think I just recently picked up the Ninja Gaiden trilogy on SNES, which is funny.
7-year-old game is better than almost everything out today.
Different in that game, actually, than the first one.
Really hoping
Yeah.
Cyberpunk is
Yeah,
gonna
Ninja Gaiden got remade
live up to.
like,
I know
every-
it's not
like,
Grand
it was,
Theft Auto. I am not one of the delusional
most of, like, the
fuckers going in
computers got
expecting
the
it to be
arcade version, like
Grand
the
Theft
64,
Auto,
MS-DOS,
but
like all those weird.
I have a feeling it can
computers
still
that
scratch the
nobody
same
ever heard
sort of itch. It's like a topical.
And then like
whiteness,
the
you know?
Game Gear and the Game Boy got versions.
Like Grand
Game Boy
Theft Auto,
was ported from a
sort
it was a
of
different
city
game in
because you get the
development, and they
city,
made it
maybe the
into a
driving.
big
I don't
game.
know what.
Yeah, so it was Shadow of the Ninja for the NES, which is a pretty pricey
And then
game now, and I don't
you
own
get
it,
the
but
RPG,
Ninja Gaiden
which
Shadow
is dope.
was originally
And then
owned
you
by
get the
Natsumi, which is
Cyberpunk.
the developer of Shadow of the Ninja,
Why do you care?
It's
and
just not
it was
exciting.
supposed to be their
except that they
Game
paid me
Boy
some
like
money.
version of
That must
Shadow
feel
of the
good.
Ninja, but
What a proud patriot
Tecmo
you
was just
are.
like, yeah, we're just gonna
So,
buy that from you,
when are
and
they kicking
they
you
changed
out?
some of the
They
music
can't kick me out,
to
stupid
kind of more
man.
fit the Ninja Gaiden
Why
style,
not?
and that was basically
My
it.
family has been here 200
So if you
years.
go back and look
I'm
at like
already there.
Shadow of the
Not
Ninja
that
for NES and then
anything to boast
compare it to the
about.
Game Boy game, you're like, yeah, that is a
Sorry.
different game.
Yeah,
But
and
it's
the
still played
At least
pixel.
well.
you got paid.
Don't get all
the character
serious,
looks
okay?
somewhat
Anybody
like
can make a mistake.
Ryu from Ninja Gaiden, but
Right.
like nothing else in the game
Perhaps
looks
now you wanna
anything
kill
like
me.
Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah, maybe.
And he's got
old
like this weird
man.
grappling hook thing.
Maybe
Oh
not.
yeah, it's like
You
Bionic
and Civil War
Commando,
Patrol friends.
Yeah.
You're all the same.
and it was a
Ignorant
very like
fools trying to protect
from what I
something that's
read,
not even there.
it's
They're
actually one
not
of the
my
top
friends.
like the way that it handles and
enough time with
plays
them.
and all
I
that
spend
stuff.
a lot
It's
of
really
time with
really
fucking
good.
people
So
I don't like, all right? It's one of
actually
my
picked it up
favorite
a couple of
hobbies.
months ago, and I haven't played it yet. I'm
Border
kind of waiting for the
Patrol,
pockets,
man.
Fuck
but I'm
you!
excited now to play it.
You wanna
Yeah.
I
Fucking
haven't
die.
played
You
Shadow Ninja
don't
yet.
scared
I
me.
do have the Game Gear version in Ninja Gaiden, and it's
You're my
okay. It's
family.
not nearly
like
as good
debt.
as the NES version.
What?
Right. It's
Um,
that's more of a
And
port of the
It's
Sega
no
Master
longer
System
safe.
game, I believe.
Yeah, the Sega
Not
Master
my
System game I
fault.
think is not that bad.
You're so concerned.
But it's weird, like you're killing
Clean
guys
it
in
up for
business
me.
suits and stuff.
Your choice.
It's not quite as fantastical
And
as like
no.
football players and
I will
Right.
not
like,
give
there's
you
all sorts
one
of weird stuff
cent.
in Ninja Gaiden, right? It's like
Yeah.
you got Jason in there, you got killer birds, you got guys with football helmets that just run after you, like cheetahs and stuff. Like, it's
Yeah,
weird. Like
and then
the-
you have like Castlevania enemies where they're all like draped in cloaks and stuff.
Bow.
Yeah, it's a weird mishmash of like themes and stuff. Even the story, like we talked about the cutscenes, but the story is bizarre. Like you start off and your father dies in the cutscene before the game starts, and so
Spoiler
you're
alert.
like on this trip to like figure out like who killed your father, and like it's this kind of noir like storytelling. Like the cutscenes look very noir, but the story is just batshit crazy, with like demons and the CIA comes and abducts you, and like it's like two statues that put together to make a demon. It's
Oh my
a
God.
weird. It's a weirdo story. A green ninja that you never see again that steals your statue.
My name is Ryu Hayabusa. You killed my
Fucking
father.
Civil Border Patrol.
It was really cool when I was a kid. It doesn't make any sense, but man, it still looks amazing. Like the art they use, like if you're watching the video version, you have like a picture of Ryu above the Retro Slot Podcast logo, and like that's right out of the game. Like it was from the NES.
I should never got involved with those nut jobs.
Looking very surprised in that picture.
Hey, Joseph, why don't you try that
Um,
on me?
I was gonna say because the trilogy, I just learned this. They remastered it basically for the SNES, but something they did. This is a fun fact. I have not played the third one yet, actually. And Ninja Gaiden 3 was originally made extremely, like a lot more difficult to combat game rentals. Because it was around the time that I moved to Japan, they outlawed game rentals altogether, but they didn't do that in the North. So the developers were like, well, we're just going to make it like impossibly difficult. So you only have, what is it, like 5 continues? And then you start over from the very, very, very beginning, and that's it.
Whoa.
Like all
oops.
of both the other games, 1 and 2, have unlimited continues.
Yeah.
3 doesn't. The Super Nintendo version actually gives you unlimited continues.
Oh, that's nice. The Japanese version gave you a password system.
Really?
Yeah, so you could actually turn your system off and like come back to it the next day and continue where you left off.
But basically, with no rentals there, they owned the game. It's really interesting that they did that separately for like North America.
Yeah, they did that for a bunch of games. Like Castlevania 3 is famous for that. They actually nerfed some characters. Like the game is significantly harder in North America than it is in Japan because they knew that if they want to sell this thing, people can't beat it when they rent it.
Right. It's so weird how I had not even known that was the thing until like 2 days ago. So
Yeah, I had always thought that Japanese games were harder when I was a kid. Like that was always
Really?
the story that I heard around the playground was that Japanese games are way harder, and they make them easier for the North American dummies.
maybe some of them are harder.
why
but
you
yeah,
figure
just
I
wanted
think
to
it is
bring
a
up.
mishmash. Yeah.
Wait. I'm gonna try to save my shit.
And then there's more. There's more Ninja Gaidens. There's the Turbo. Have you ever seen the TurboGrafx 16 version?
No.
So
Yeah.
it's definitely a better
Alright.
looking
Should
in
be able to
still
save my shit.
screenshots. It's a better looking version of Ninja Gaiden. But it does this weird thing where the parallax scrolling is reversed, and it just blows your mind, and it's unplayable.
It's like going the opposite direction of a.
Yeah,
Miss
me. It doesn't work. It's just so weird that it's hard to play because it just looks so weird running.
Background graphics.
Yeah, like in the background, it's scrolling in the wrong direction, and it just makes everything feel awful.
I'm going to look at a video right now. Real
Yeah.
quick. What the?
Yeah, I told you.
What on earth?
Like otherwise, it looks really good. Except for
gotta
that
be
one
some
little
kind of
thing.
a bug, right? Like
I don't
that.
know.
Like it's like the best way I can describe it for anybody who's listening is there's a background still that stays perfectly in line with the character you're playing, and everything else is moving around it, but the background and the character stay exactly the same throughout the entire thing. It's just like all the foreground and stuff is moving as you're running over it, but the background, there's one point, literally I'm looking at a single tree branch with Ryu just like following him. It's so bizarre. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, it's too bad because otherwise that thing looks amazing.
You know what
like
that probably
really
was? You know what that probably was? Is whoever designed it or did the art for that was like, yeah, we have like one still for the background. We don't have the budget to make the entire background for these levels. So we're just gonna have the entire still just go with the character. Like that. Like that's the only defense I can give to it.
I know I'm not talking a lot of this in his podcast.
That's a horrible error because Ninja Gaiden sold like gangbusters.
I'm
They had
really
trouble
close
keeping
to
it in
these
stock.
guys' age. I might be in between
For
their
graphics?
age.
No, well, I think
Older than the bald
for
guy,
NES
younger than the
for
bearded
sure.
guy.
But I know it was hard to find for the Game Gear when it was new.
So I'm relating to everything they're fucking saying.
Because there
I'm
weren't
like
many
totally on board.
You had the Sonic games.
Rumble.
Yeah, there's a couple of RPGs that are more rare. There's Battletoads for Game Gear. You don't like Battletoads, I forgot.
Nah, I don't really like Battletoads.
Yeah.
Discount Ninja Turtles.
It's totally what
Like,
it is.
it's Ninja
It
Turtles
is
and
still
Double
fun,
Dragon
but it
had a
is
very
totally what that is. Just dumber. Less
Yeah, I mean,
thought out.
Ninja Gaiden, though, it's a fantastic game. I highly recommend it. It's super easy to play, right? Like, you can play it, well, I guess not that super easy to play. How could you play it? You have to emulate it or buy a cartridge in the NES, I guess.
On Switch Live.
God, this game is so
Is it on
fucking
Switch Live?
amazing, though. Look
Oh,
at
okay,
it.
that's a
Just
great
fucking look at it.
So it's on there.
Gotcha,
It's
look at
on the NES Classic.
No, don't hit me.
I don't know if 2
My
and 3
car
are-
is like
No, the first one.
near mint.
First
Got
one
some
is the
bird
one-
shit on it.
You know, that's kind of a necessity.
The
Speaking
first
of
one
the
is the classic. The second one and the third one are still good games, but they're not nearly as legendary.
I did learn that apparently the final boss, and not to spoil the final boss of Ninja Gaiden 1, Ninja Gaiden 1, there's a rush, there's like, you know, it's like a multi-boss kind of fight, and if you die, you start at the beginning of the level as opposed to the beginning of the boss, which is typical. And that was a bug.
Yeah.
That was not intended. And Tecmo was like, eh.
Yeah, they
I'm not
liked
gonna
it.
fix
In every other, like,
Moss,
unless you're,
peanut, moss, peanut,
so this is the difference between losing a guy and, like, continuing. But if you just lose a guy in any other part of Ninja Gaiden, you start at the beginning of the sub-level. So if you die in 6-2, you start at 6-2.
Right.
Except if you make it to the boss. So if you die at 6-3, so there's 6-1, 6-2, 6-3, and then the boss. If you are low on health in 6-3, you need to just die and start again with a new character in 6-3 because you want to go into the boss with high health.
Right.
Because it's a 3-phase boss, and it's a really... The second phase in particular is pretty hard. I think.
I gotta go back and, like, because I've recently, I think I got through like the 4th or 5th level, and then I just kind of stopped time. But I gotta go back. I don't know if I've ever actually beat it all the way through.
It's really hard. I've never beaten it all the way through. I've gotten to the last boss, and I've watched people do it, so I know that it's like I've looked up YouTube videos, like how are people doing this, and I see them do it, but I can't. I've never made it happen. It's actually one of the reasons that I got away from the Retrokin. What is it called?
Hyperkin Retron.
Retron 5, yeah. That's why I got rid of Retron 5, is because I could feel the lag in that. And I'm like, this game is like, you have to be so fast to kill these enemies. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm going to try and get an NES and see where this, see if this actually makes sense. And it did. It helped me get much further in the game. But I still haven't beaten it. I haven't gone back to it, though. But Maybe it's time. Maybe it's time to go back. Wait, we gotta start. Sakes. We gotta start announcing the game. So we have 2 weeks to play it. Because we chose this game like 3 days ago. Yeah, we gotta give ourselves more time on it.
Yeah, for anybody listening, the plan is to start a Twitter specifically for the podcast. And we'll have polls, and actually I want to do a giveaway. Started it too, so for a copy of the Super Mario 3D All-Stars, giving that away. And yeah, we'll have all of the podcasts up there, so we don't have to clutter up and whatnot.
Somebody mentioned in chat the Ninja Gaiden Black. Did you ever play the Xbox games?
I did play the first Xbox game, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
But again, extremely difficult.
Yeah. they kind of leaned into, oh yeah, Ninja Gaiden games are hard.
Typical. It almost reminds me of now the way that like Dark Souls are. Like that's kind of how it was. Like frustratingly difficult. And I remember I got to a certain boss. It was like this big ogre dude. It was like one of the probably third, fourth level, something like that. And I just couldn't beat him. And I was like, I guess I'm done with that.
Yeah.
I just kind of put it away. The system was really cool. Like, you'd kill enemies and you'd get these little orbs for like, I can't remember if it was like your super or something like that, but just the way it like auto collected, that whole like mechanic of you didn't actually have to go over the orb. I don't know why, like this is like a quality of life thing for me. But like if you were in the vicinity of the little orbs, they go and they'd like suck to you. Like I felt like that was kind of a unique thing for that. Yeah. And now you see it a lot more, but that was a great game.
Used to do that?
What's that?
Remember when Glimmer used to do that?
Glimmer?
Yeah. In Destiny.
Trying to remember.
Now you
Probably.
have to walk over it and pick it up.
Yeah. Now you have to actually physically walk over it. Yeah.
Anyhow. 10 questions?
Sure.
All right. Let me bring them up. I brought up. All right. 10 questions for Jay. There's 11. We're not counting. All right. Super Nintendo or Genesis?
Super Nintendo.
All right. Genesis or TurboGrafx?
Genesis.
All right. Say 2 nice things about the TurboGrafx.
Not cool. Not. Open your damn eyes. You wanna play with me? Let's go.
It had a really unique controller.
Dumbass.
And I should play it. I've never played it.
You've never played it at all? None of it? Okay. What's the most expensive game that you've owned, but you haven't played?
Does testing count?
I would say that's not playing it. You're just testing the TV.
Little Samson.
Oh, okay. That's the most expensive game. That's a pretty high price one. How much does that cost now? $900 or something?
No, it's in the 1,500 range now.
Wow.
Because of COVID. I didn't pay that, but yeah.
If you could have a complete collection for any console, which console would it be?
SNES.
What console did you miss out on that you'd like to go back and explore the library of?
GameCube.
What game did you love that you think is a bit shit now?
A what?
What game did you used to love that you think is a bit shit now?
Batman on Game Boy.
Cereal first or milk first?
Cereal first.
Good. First video game you bought with your own money.
What's up, babe?
At my new job, all the big stars walk by
Probably
my
like
desk.
Pokemon Red.
Please stop speaking
Oh.
to me. I just look famous.
What is the first game that you beat?
Fuck off. Get together for a chai later. Fuck you.
Super Mario Brothers 3.
Yeah. Is there a game that you own that's too precious to sell? Shut up, Siri. Nobody has to use shit.
Probably Super Mario RPG.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. That's it. That's all the questions. Well, fast. It was 11 questions. There was one extra. It still went fast.
Bonus question. I I mean, do we want to talk about anything regarding those questions, or do we just want to like leave it how it is?
I don't know. What do you want to talk about? You wanna explain why you've never played a TurboGrafx? Fucking monster.
I don't even like. Who owned a like nobody I knew owned a TurboGrafx.
I owned one because they were selling for like $50 at the end of like with the game. Actually, I think the most expensive game I own is Kadash, and it's for the TurboGrafx.
What year was this? Were they selling for $50?
I don't know. It was probably the mid '90s.
I was like 10.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, nobody I knew had a TurboGrafx. Like one person I knew had a Saturn. One person I knew had a Dreamcast. Like I didn't get
really?
I didn't get any time with any of that stuff.
Dreamcast was, like around me was pretty popular. Nobody had a Saturn. Nobody. That thing was $100 more than PlayStation.
Man, I'm sorry, fool.
Like it was not impressive.
Well, and you could just burn any game for Dreamcast too. That's what like my friend's like. Look at the games that I have, and he like opens up his CD folder. It's like
Yeah.
like dang.
Hey, my whip.
Dreamcast was amazing, like at the time. I don't know if you remember, but it was the first console that did like 480p, like on the regular. It just looked so much better than the PlayStation and the Saturn. Like it was just a huge step up. Like they advertised NFL 2K on TV, and it was like that looks like real football. Like it looks like real football players. Like it was amazing. Obviously, now it doesn't have that effect, but the TV technology was different then too. CRT. I'm the same way though. Sega Saturn, I couldn't touch.
And now like some of those games for Saturn 2 are like outlandishly expensive.
Yeah.
Panzer Dragoon and stuff like in the 1500 range.
Is it really?
Over $1,000, yeah.
You know,
In like complete condition, yeah, for sure.
I've been trying to find a copy of Panzer Dragon Orta for the Xbox.
Yeah, those aren't super expensive.
No, it's like $40 or something, but I've been trying. I really like that game. That's one of my favorites.
Well, describe that game to me. I've never played it.
That's dumb
Panzer
luck right
Dragon.
there.
So they made 3 Panzer Dragoon series games for the Saturn. 2 of them were on-rail shooters, and one of them was an on-rail shooter combined with an RPG. And then they made an Xbox one called Orta that was very much an on-rail shooter. It went back to the original 1 and 2, but it was much better graphics because it was on the Xbox. And if you have that game, it also now works with the Xbox One X at 4K. You can play it at 4K, and it looks stunning.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder if the Series X is gonna like uphold any of that.
I think it's going to uphold all of it.
That's pretty
Yeah,
dope.
Digital Foundry did a good video about Xbox Series X backward compatibility, and it looks like it's going to be really impressive. Games that had trouble running at 30 FPS or 60 FPS on the One X are going to run pretty close to 60 at 4K on the Xbox 4.
I like it. That's cool.
But yeah, a lot of games that are on the compatibility list are just moving right forward. I think it's just a more powerful. It's
right.
They're using DirectX 12, right? They own that. they're just making PCs, right?
Yeah. It's gotten to a point where you're just building little mini PCs.
Yeah.
And it's gonna go all digital at some point. I'm sure it will. Like,
Oh yeah.
at some point they're not gonna be able to produce discs anymore. It's just gonna go by the wayside. I don't know whether that's 5 or 10 years, but
I think it's gonna take a while just because people have such shitty internet. There's such a wide population of people. I was watching a documentary not that long ago. Speaking of documentaries, where a guy has a video game shop, and one of the services he provides is a network connection, so people can come and update their consoles because they buy new games, they bring it home, and it says you need to update your console to play this game, but they don't have an internet connection, or they have like some kind of data cap that prevents them from having their console connected to the internet.
It makes sense.
Yeah. So until that's fixed, which is not going to happen in the United States anytime soon.
When or where is that? Where was that store that you saw? Where is it located?
I don't remember. I don't know that they said specifically where it was, or if it was specifically a documentary about video game, like classic retro video game stores. So it's probably pretty easy to find, but I don't remember the name of it.
Was it on YouTube?
No, it's probably on Netflix or Amazon Prime.
Okay, I'll look for it. Sounds interesting. I feel like retro stores, I don't know if they're popping up more, but they're like starting to stand out a little bit to me.
Yeah.
Because they're being more of like an authority, you know, and they're not just doing retro stuff. Like the one near me, like when it first opened, it's like, yeah, we don't do anything after like PlayStation 1. Like they didn't do like Xbox or any of that stuff. And at a certain point, they're just like, you know what, F it. They do Switch now. They do Xbox One. They do PS4. They do all of it. So it's like literally anything you could ever want video game wise, you can get there essentially, where you can ask them, and it completely replaces like a GameStop or, you know, the need for any of that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Their quality of service is way better. They have guarantees, and you know, they test their stuff. So it's really interesting. I'm curious if that's like a nationwide thing or if it's just my particular.
My game store is doing very much the same thing. I have a retro game store very close to me, and they have PS4 games, Xbox One games, and Switch games. You know, they take them in as trade, and actually, it's a great way to pick up a game that you missed on a new generation. I think, where did I buy there recently? Oh, I bought the Nathan Drake collection, which was Uncharted 1, 2, and 3, I believe, all on one disc for the PlayStation 4. I was like, oh, I didn't even know this was a thing. I picked it up.
Like, pretty sure that they have. I'm trying to remember if they have that collection on. Do they have that collection for PlayStation 3 too? Or is it just the individual ones? I can't remember. Yeah, and for like PS4, they had like all of the PlayStation 3 and 2 and 1 like box sets. I feel like they had, you know, a lot of those. It's pretty cool. Ratchet and Clank and stuff like that.
But when GameStop inevitably goes out of business, like it, you know, there is a spot still for people who want to buy video games, you know, and like especially used video games. You know, video games are expensive. There's a theory I've had that like you could just imagine if you could somehow just have media from 5 years ago, how much money you would save. Right? You only listen to podcasts from 5 years ago. You only watch commercials from 5 years ago. You only watch TV shows from 5 years ago. Like, you're always buying 5-year-old technology. It's dirt cheap.
Yeah.
But to you, it's new. Like, what the fuck?
Right. Like, what desert island can we go to where that happens?
That iPhone 5 is fresh, friend.
Yo, dude, I got a Razor. It's dope.
Yo, it's so.
Got my Razor for $20. Good.
Imagine that. Like, you'd save so much money just buying 5-year-old stuff all the time, and it's still this stuff, especially in video games. 5-year-old video games are just as good as brand new video games. Turns out, but they're like $5.
I'm not rooting for GameStop to go out of business because I think it's going to throw the entire used game economy out. Like, it's just going to go crazy.
I'm not rooting for it either because I like the people that work at my local.
Why did I think this was a good idea?
Like, they're really cool people.
Folks that work there are super, super nice most of the time. It's just like I have issues with their like top down, like the top level stuff. But if GameStop dies, then
I'm muted.
eBay will rule the used game marketplace.
Yeah. Well,
everything.
Yeah.
Because GameStop, they actually have like set prices, and a lot of times you can actually find decent prices for like retro stuff, even though they're constantly like adjusting those prices. Like they don't always go at the same speed that like the market does. So,
well, fuck,
it's gonna be tough.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's inevitable.
Really
they just run that company so poorly that to me it's just a matter of time. I was concerned about ordering a PlayStation 5 from them because I didn't know if they'd be in business till November. You know, like I don't know, like it just seems like shit. it's going so shitty for them on such a consistent basis that I have no idea when they're actually going to pull the trigger and just get out.
What?
I think there's so many things they can do.
Oh, I died.
too.
I smashed my face.
They can go back to selling some retro stuff. They can sell PC stuff. Like PC gaming is booming, right? And like locally, in most people's town, they don't have a place that sells any of it, right? There's no Micro Center. If there's a Best Buy, they have like 4 pieces of PC parts. You know, like there's none of it. You can't buy it anywhere. Maybe you got like a local guy who has like a couple of things, but mostly he just wants to fix your iPhone. I don't know. You know, like, so GameStop has like an in, like sell the Razer gaming keyboards, sell the mice, sell the headsets, sell a few motherboards, a few processors.
What?
Get started. That seems
That
like
looked
an easy
perfect.
one. Retro gaming stuff, man, that's obviously making a huge comeback. I don't know if that comeback is going to last past the
What am I? What?
COVID stuff. I really don't know.
I feel like there has to be some kind of facilitation as far as hardware that's
am I
going to make it
supposed to do?
sustainable. There needs to be some way to play retro games with somebody else online. And companies like Limited Run, like more of them pop up.
Landing
There's
on
the
the building?
8-bit, whatever it's
What am I
called,
landing
starting
on?
to do like hard copies of things too, and make those games
Shit, am I
more
supposed
readily
to land?
available for a lot of people. Like, there's definitely a
supposed to
market there.
do?
Obviously, we've seen it, but
Yes,
my
yes.
question is,
Oh,
what
on
if
the
GameStop
truck.
made some kind
Oh.
of service
All right.
where they were like
On the truck.
They tried that, I believe. They tried to become like a Netflix kind of service, didn't they?
Did
You
they?
could go in there and you could basically use their used games as like a rental service.
I vaguely remember that.
Yeah. Me too. I don't remember the details at all.
Kind of like a GameFly, but like
Yeah, but you just go to the store and you can basically like, I don't remember exactly the details.
Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on,
That'll
get
be
up!
something I look into next week.
God damn it.
Or I forget to.
More
so
candy.
weird that like the one company that's still standing nationwide is like on the brink, and it's just so confusing to me.
Yeah.
Like, where did they go wrong? Is it a quality thing? Is it?
No,
is
it's you can. Most people just buy their shit on the console itself. You just digitally download it,
Yeah.
or you order it off of Amazon and just have it delivered to your house.
That's true. Yeah, who wants to leave their house?
I do. I'm dying to leave my
No
house.
way! No way!
Get me out of here, man.
No way!
Help me.
That was it, man.
Went to a restaurant for the first time in like 7 months.
Oh hell yeah! I bet that felt
Over
good.
the weekend. Like, we haven't been to a restaurant and like sat down in a restaurant since February.
Yeah.
Like, we remembered because it was like a month after our daughter was born, and it was like a whole big outing with a month-year-old, you know, a 1-month-old
Yeah.
baby, and that was like the last time that we'd gone to a restaurant. It was a sushi place.
Did it feel good?
Well, that was February, but yeah, the going over the
Aw,
weekend,
man.
it was we were there for like 3 hours because like everybody was there and it was outside, and people were,
Oh,
like, spread
man.
apart, and you know, just stuff. It took a while.
Wait,
It started getting a little
still going?
chilly,
No,
but
I'm
yeah,
not
I mean,
going.
it was a good experience. Had a beer, and
Yeah.
I kind of forgot how to order stuff. Like, I felt bad. I was like I haven't been to a restaurant in 7 months. It's weird.
Our place near me does it really good. You walk up, everything's outside now. They do have indoor seating, but nobody wants to sit out there. It's summertime. You walk up to the front, and they have like an outside hostess, and she just takes your phone number down, and then you go back to your car and you wait in your car for like it to be your turn, which is
Mhm.
awesome, right? Because like that's way nicer than standing in a lobby.
Yeah, that's kind of how it was for us too.
Yeah.
I had a long page.
And we went after there. We went there after golf, and we were sitting outside in the tent in the parking lot. It was really nice having beers and shit. God damn, it's nice to talk to people. Remember when you used to go to bars and like shoot the shit with your friends and fuck.
Yeah.
For me, I mean, pretty much my opportunity to do that now is
Fuck.
And so
Yeah.
not having that at all this year has been.
Wait, what did I do?
Yeah,
No.
yeah, that's where we met
No.
for the first time. Was it the St.
Did that
Jude,
count? That counts
Play
still,
Live
right?
Summit?
That counts
Yeah.
still,
Yeah,
right?
for
That
the
counts still,
talk.
right? Oh my
Yeah.
god,
We had
I
a-
didn't mean to press that
we had a-
button,
we
you
had a lot of that
motherfucker,
time.
you fucking motherfucker.
So being
Dude,
smart, being safe. But yeah, there was. I can't wait for things to get back to normal. If it ever will. You know, this might be the new normal. And it's tough to cope with that, but
Dude, you think
yeah,
masks will
that
ever go
was
away? I
like,
think it's
alright,
gonna be
that was
like
even
flu
better.
season comes around, people are wearing masks.
I mean, how long have people been wearing masks in the East? For a long time.
Long time. Yeah.
So
Since I
it
was a
might just
kid.
be normal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not everybody, but a lot of people probably.
Yeah. Well, not everybody is wearing them now, which is scary as hell. I do photography on the weekends,
Hmm.
and like, there's people like out with their kids not doing the mask thing. Like, scary as hell to me. Like, whatever. I'm not their boss.
Yeah, we tell our 4-year-old, we're like, if you want to come with, you got to wear the mask, and he's like, okay, and he'll like
Yeah.
wear it, and he's gotten used to it now, which is weird. Like,
Hmm.
it makes me sad, and we took our our daughter who's 8.5 months to the restaurant, and there was some family with us, and she's like looking at the family like, I don't know who you are because they're all wearing masks, and it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
you have to get used to seeing people with masks, and it's just
Yeah.
weird.
That won't
That
stay a
dynamic.
thing though. Like family events, people won't be wearing masks.
Oh,
once
right.
this is over.
Yeah.
God, can you imagine that? Like, you never know what your family looks like. Growing up, not knowing what your family looks like.
Yeah.
Everybody's wearing masks.
Weird.
Hmm.
It's like having Batman as your father.
I'm running
I
out
don't know
of
what he looks
stuff
like. I've never
to
seen
do,
Bruce Wayne before.
even though I haven't. There's a lot of places I haven't
He's got
been.
some shifty eyes, man. He's suspicious.
It's like Ryu. All I see is
But
his
I don't
eyes.
know.
Should we
We
wrap
didn't
this one up?
Sure thing. The last thing I was just gonna mention that we didn't talk about was that there was actually a Ninja Gaiden anime.
Yeah, this never came out in the U.S., right?
Yeah, no, it didn't.
And it was set between so
After 2.
after 2 and 3 is actually like a prequel, right?
Is it? Because I know the Xbox one's a prequel.
Really? Okay.
Mic off.
So yeah, I believe it's actually pivotal to the story if you're paying attention
Mic
to the
on.
story of Ninja Gaiden.
I
which know
unplugged
you
the
are.
controller
right? I
and
know
it turned
you're-
my mic off on my
Yeah, it never
headset.
came to the U.S. So like,
Why the
I'm
fuck
sure
would it
now
do
it's
that?
got like a fan dub, right?
So weird.
Probably.
Probably.
These
That'd actually be
subtitles,
worth checking out. I bet that'd be pretty good. It's probably available on YouTube.
I'm sure.
Somebody put it up there with a fan dub. I'm gonna look for it. Did you see the Castlevania anime? That's on
The
Netflix.
one on Netflix?
Yeah,
I haven't. No. Is it any good?
It's pretty good. I don't like anime either, and I liked it. I found it pretty good. I
These
like
guys are
Castlevania
good.
though. I
Check
like
'em out.
Castlevania a lot.
Yeah. Those
DCP.
damn stairs.
That's what that says. DCP.
Like the thing. Am I going
So
up?
you
Am
can
I going
find 'em.
down? What am I doing?
Yeah.
Go find them.
So are you gonna keep playing Link to the Past till you finish it?
Yes, and I probably will finish it next Monday. I think I have like 2 dungeons left. So we're a good fair way through it. And at this point I've committed, and I'm trying to like learn how to enjoy it, but man, those dungeons are frustrating at times.
Yeah.
Holy
All right.
moly.